You've heard it said by all the da'is, all the popular dawagandists, that there's only one Quran, memorized, untouched, uncorrupted, never to be changed, never has been changed. You all heard this before. We're going to give you guys 5 variants, 5 Quran variants that every Christian should know. You guys should have this all in your pockets, in your back pockets, whenever you're talking to a Muslim. 5 Quran variants, easy to explain, easy to show to your Muslim friends.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So is there one Quran or is there more versions of the Quran? Muslims today say that there is only one Quran since the start of this revelation and since the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. But then you see Christian apologists most of the times claiming that there is actually more than one version of the Quran. And so you don't know who to trust, right? The Christians who know nothing about Arabic and how Arabic actually works, they barely know 2-3 words. Today, these same Christian apologists are gonna teach us, us, the Arabs, right? The Arab speakers who read the Quran in the original language. The Christian apologists, non-Muslims, non-Arabic speakers, going to teach us about the Arabic language and the multiple variants of the Quran. One thing that is important to mention here before we start this explanation is that we are very aware of these variants, and we know that these variants, these different types of readings and different types of recitations, they go all the way back to the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Yes, all these variants existed during the presence of the Prophet, peace be upon him himself. I'm going to paraphrase this hadith, but feel free to pause it and read the whole thing so you can have more information and a better idea about what's going on here. This is from Sahih Muslim 818, okay? So basically there were 2 companions, 2 Sahaba during the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him. They both were reciting the Quran in a different way. And so they had this little dispute between each other, and they went to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to judge between them. And so the Prophet asked each one of them to recite, and every time one of them recites, he says, thus was it sent down. This is how it was revealed. And he said this to both of them, even though they had different readings. And then he said the Quran was sent down in 7 dialects. So recite what seems easy therefrom. There is another hadith that explains this actually, and this is from Sahih al-Bukhari 4991. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Gabriel recited the Quran to me in one way. Then I requested him to read it in another way, and continued asking him to recite it in other ways. Every time the angel Gabriel was reciting the revelation to the Prophet in a way, the Prophet would ask him to give him like another dialect, another way to recite it. And then Gabriel gave him another way to recite the revelation, and continued asking him to recite it in other ways, and he recited it several ways till he ultimately recited it in 7 different ways. And that's why we have 7 different ahruf, 7 dialects. And again, this is when he was receiving this revelation directly from Gabriel. Okay, so you may think that these differences, these changes happened during a time after the end of the revelation, right? So you have the Quran, and then years later, some changes happened, and then you have these variations, right? But in fact, that's not the case. All these variants, they all go back to the 7th century, to the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. But anyway, let's deal with this and see what they say.
فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْغَنِيُّ الْحَمِيدُ. And the huwa part is the problem.
Because we see it in some versions of the Quran, like Hafs, but it seems to disappear in other versions of the Quran, like Warsh.
So huwa means he is. So in this version, Warsh, there's no he is, which messes up the grammar. There's no is. So what are we going to do about this one? So what happened here?
Now, this is interesting, just really quick, guys. So you can't pronounce a word that is not there, right?
Right.
You can't have a specific dialect on a word that doesn't exist in the text.
I mean, what are we doing here? This is really, I don't know, primary school stuff, right? So in Arabic, multiple times the Quran may say God is Al-Ghani al-Hamid. God is the self-sufficient. And in other readings it says God the self-sufficient. This is embarrassing, right? Come on. This is really primary school stuff.
So Allah speaking to Muhammad, and he says, you were surprised while they mocked, or you were amazed while they mocked. So Allah speaking to Muhammad. But when we scroll down here and we see all these different, readings of the Quran here, they're mostly the same. But we get down to Al-Kasai and Al-Hamza. We get here, what does it say here, DLC?
It says, بَلْ عَجِبْتُ ويسخرون.
Now tell us what the difference is.
What's happening here is Allah speaking again, but he changes the pronoun. He says بل عجبت ويسخرون. عجبت, that's the word difference. If you remember in the Hafs it was عجبت. Now what's the difference here? It says I was amazed.
Okay, so here we got the first example, Quran 37:12. It has two readings. The first reading goes, in fact, you are astonished by their denial while they ridicule you. The second one says, in fact, I am astonished by their denial, meaning God. So the argument they're trying to present here is that they don't know who is astonished. Is it God or is it the prophet? It cannot be both. So just to give you a little bit of context here, obviously about this verse is rhetorical, right? So it is irrelevant whether the astonishment is attributed to God or the Prophet, peace be upon him. Because the term astonished here obviously implies weakness, right? We know God cannot be surprised. You know, God does not wonder. God does not lack any knowledge. He knows everything. He knows the future, he knows the present, and he knows the past. And here's an example just to understand this better. So you invited a thief into your home and you wonder why he stole from you. And then I can say in the same situation, you invited a thief into your home. I wonder why he stole from you. Both cases, no one is wondering, right? No one is surprised. No one is astonished that the thief actually stole from you, right? So in both cases, no one is genuinely astonished or surprised, all right? The statement is rhetorical.
Okay, so that's the Hafs. That's where we want you to look. He would not have made it known to you. وَلَا أَدْرَاكُمْ. That's where the elongated sound, it means no, not known to you. He would not have made it known to you. That's what most Muslims know about.
And then we go to one of Ibn Kathir's readers, Qunbal, and he says,
وَلَا أَدْرَاكُمْ بِهِ. No elongated anything. It's very short, which means he would have made it known to you.
Oh, wow.
Let's look at the second example, 10:16, Quran 10:16. To be honest, this is not something anyone could find, all right? You have to be very, very specialized in the readings of the Quran to come across these differences, right? But we know exactly where these people bring this information. It's from us. It's from the Muslim scholars, okay, who have this, all these variants, all these differences when it comes to recitations and the readings of the Quran. It's all transparent. It's not something that is, you know, hidden information or anything like that. It's up there. Even the website they're using is a Muslim website actually that allows you to find these different qira'at, these different recitations, right? And not just that, but it will highlight the difference when it comes to these readings as well. It's going to help you identify these differences. It's not something that is hidden or anything. It's out there. We know about it, okay? But let's see. What does 10:16 mean? And does it actually create a contradiction? The first reading, it says, had Allah willed, he would not have made it known to you. Okay, i.e. the revelation would not be revealed to them. The second reading says, had Allah willed, he would have made it known to you. I.e. the revelation would still be revealed to them without the prophet reciting it. I really don't see the contradiction. Yes, the two statements are all opposite, but there is no contradiction since it is always Allah who is the final authority to reveal or not reveal the revelation to the people. And just to remember, okay, this is one of the miracles of the Quran where slight variations in recitations can change meaning significantly without causing contradictions. These verses present two possibilities that are both true, that Allah holds the final authority to reveal the message either through the prophet or by other means.
Yeah.
In Surah 2 verse 184, it says, Fidyatun ta'amu miskin. Fidya means the redemption. Ta'am means the feeding of. Miskin is the word here that you need, which we've written here, transliterated here. One poor person, singular, miskin, one poor person. That's Hafs. So for every missed fast, you have to feed one poor person.
Mm-hmm.
However, in the other version, famous version actually called Warsh, it says, Fidyatun ta'ami masakin. Masakin is the word here. So here the redemption is by feeding plural people. And in the Arabic here, the plural is more than two.
Quran 2 184. The compensation can be made by feeding a needy person. Another recitation, another reading says the compensation can be made by feeding multiple needy persons, i.e. the poor. So in one reading it says miskin, singular. Another reading says masakin, plural. Okay, it's just, that is, yes, this is the only difference. Okay, but if you read again the context, right next to it, for every day not fasted. Okay, so this is, to have better context, is that during Ramadan when Muslims fast, if you cannot fast and you have an excuse, for example, for illness, you're traveling, later if you cannot fast these days, you have to compensate. Depends, if you did not fast one day, you have to feed one poor guy. If you didn't fast multiple days, it's going to be multiple poor people. The reading here reflects singular and plural forms. The verses address compensation for missed fasting days due to illness during Ramadan. Feeding one needy person per missed day, it is if it's a single day, or multiple needy individuals for multiple days. So both readings are correct since the meaning doesn't change. Where is the contradiction, dog logic? No logic. Like, you have logic in your name. Where is the logic? You have everything but logic. Everything is nonsense. Seriously. Where is the contradiction? Moving on.
In one version of the Quran, it says, they said, can it be that you are really Joseph? Can it be that you're really Joseph? They don't know. But if you see on the bottom here in the footnote, he notes that there's Ibn Kathir and Abu Ja'far who read it as, they said, you really are Joseph. He even puts an exclamation mark. Like, there's an emphasis there.
Quran 1290. And this is about Joseph, which is a prophet in the Quran, when he was meeting his brothers. And so there's two recitations here. So when his brothers came to him, they asked him, are you really Joseph? And then there is another recitation, another reading that says, you are Joseph, right, in this exclamation mark. And then the other one is a question. But here's the thing, if you read the context, right, you can see that his brothers are in shock, because just before this verse, if you read verse 1289, Joseph was asking his brothers, what did you do to Joseph and his brother? And then just after that question, they kind of got the message, right? They're like, how would you know what we did to Joseph, right, if you're not him? So they were like in a state of shock, and at the same time questioning themselves and questioning him if he was really Joseph. It doesn't matter how you say it. If you're in shock, if you say, are you Joseph, or you are Joseph, and then the outcome is always the same. Joseph says, I am Joseph, and here's my brother Benjamin, etc. So again, where is the contradiction? There is no contradiction. Both readings are correct. You have to do better. Okay, this is not enough. I know you have a lot of people, maybe hundreds of thousands of people, waiting for new arguments to run to debate us Muslims, but they always get embarrassed. But when you give them this kind of arguments, it doesn't look good for them, okay? Always backfire. Anyway, I think that's it for this video. This was one of the most idiotic, the most easiest thing to debunk ever. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.